The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent or our sponsors. With that said, welcome to the Will Wonder Show.
Well, we made it. It's been a long time, but we finally have the NFL back. Like I had said on the last episode of the Will Wonder Show, I will have some sports talk. So that's what I'm doing now. This is strictly about the NFL season and week one. With that said, I want to give some predictions, look at the spreads for week one, give some thoughts on those games. So let's get right into it. Let's start with some rewards. Coach of the year. There's some heavy favorites, there's some middle of the road guys. You're looking at Jim Harbaugh, Matt Eberflus, Mike McDonald, Matt LaFleur, Raheem Morris, D'Amico Ryans. But for me, for the money, if you're a betting man, or if you just want to make some predictions, I'm going to go with Raheem Morris out in Atlanta. He's got Kirk Cousins out there. And I know what a lot of people will say, Atlanta's not going to be that good. Well, you know who isn't going to be that good? The rest of their division. There's 6 wins, probably get 4, 2, 5 the rest of the season. That brings their win total up immensely from last year. Bijan Robinson a lot better in his second year. The defense is a little bit better. And obviously you have Kirk Cousins. So I think for my money and my prediction, I'm going Raheem Morris as 24-25 NFL Coach of the Year. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at the 24-25 NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. A lot of good options out there. Laiatu Latu, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Byron Murphy. I'm going to go with Dallas Turner. Shout out to my brother, Steady Rock Michael Martinez. The Vikings are going to be bad on offense, really bad. So Dallas Turner is going to have a lot of chances to make an impact on the defensive end of the ball for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going with him for my Defensive Rookie of the Year. As we look at the odds for the 24-25 Offensive Rookie of the Year, you've got Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison all in the top 3. Bo Nix out there, that's not happening. Malik Neighbors has no one to throw him the ball. Drake May probably isn't playing for the first 5 to 6 games of the season. So to me, it really comes down to Harrison, Daniels, and Caleb Williams. I want to go with my guy, Jaden Daniels, so bad, but his weapons as compared to Caleb Williams' weapons are just lackluster, right? We got Terry McLaurin there in DC. Austin Eckler, what is he going to be like? Brian Robinson. But on the Chicago side, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, you actually got some real talent in there to help them. Cole Kmet at tight end. I've got to do it, man. I've got to go Caleb Williams. And for a lot of the NFL purists, a lot of the football purists like my father-in-law who saw this kid crying in the stands and saying, no, that's not happening. Let me tell you something. He's going to be a problem. I'm excited to watch him. I've been on the Caleb Williams bandwagon for the last 2 years. My boy Luis can attest to that. Always talking to me about Caleb Williams and how much I'm a fan of him. So Caleb Williams, Rookie of the Year. He's the odds-on favorite, plus 130 right now. All right, now on to the 24-25 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. A couple of favorites, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Max Crosby. I'm going to go with Cleveland Browns' Myles Garrett. I don't know how any one player or sometimes even 2 players stop him. He's a plus 800 right now. And to me, I don't think that offense is going to be great. I don't believe in Deshaun Watson at all. So I'm going with none other than Myles Garrett. And he's a hooper too. He can dunk. As we look at the 24-25 Offensive Player of the Year, obviously you have Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall maybe, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bijan Robinson. I think if he's healthy, this goes to Christian McCaffrey. I don't think there's really any question, though there is a little worry about his health right now. So if I'm going to go with a dark horse, I might go with the guy. And this makes me so sick to say this. I'm disgusted in saying this, but the guy who just got paid in CeeDee Lamb, dark horse for you. He's at plus 1,000 right now. MVP. Who do we got for MVP? Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Josh Allen. Joe Burrow. Let's go ahead and lean on into CJ Stroud. Plus 1,000 feels kind of good. Jalen Hurts plus 1,000. Jordan Love plus 1,400. And Lamar Jackson plus 1,600. For my money and how well I think he's going to perform this year, how well the team is going to do, in my predictions, anyways. I'm going with Jordan Love as the NFL MVP. I know that's crazy, and you can never discount Patrick Mahomes ever, 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 ever. But this year, I'm going to go with Jordan Love. That leads us to way, way too early Super Bowl predictions, but I got to throw it out there. Every year, you could pretty much say the Chiefs. And I know this because I have a standing bet with my friend Luis Huicho. And that bet states that I believe the Chiefs will not make the Super Bowl. We did this for 5 years straight. I have paid him, and it's $100 a year. I've paid him $200 so far. We are on the third year of this bet. With that said, I'm not picking the Chiefs. They're getting, you got Kelsey getting a little bit older. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes has shown it doesn't really matter who his receivers are, but I do think his receivers actually got better. But I think this year we see out of the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens, addition of Derrick Henry, defense is still solid. Lamar Jackson. I mean, this is the year to do it. A lot of pressure taken off of him with Derrick Henry there. And out of the NFC, this was really hard for me, but I am a believer, and this sounds so wild, of the Detroit Lions. Shout out to my brother DJ Shawnee Boy. So I have Ravens, Lions in the Super Bowl. If you want a dark horse, maybe you could lean towards the Texans at plus 1600. Out of the AFC and out of the NFC, you have the Packers at plus 1600 as well. So take that for what it's worth. But I'm going Lions, Ravens, Super Bowl. So with the game tonight here in just, a couple hours, Baltimore Ravens at Kansas City to kick off the NFL season. Chiefs are favored by 3 at home. And I believe the Chiefs don't give two shits about September football. I think Baltimore is going to come out tough. And I was watching NFL Network a little bit earlier today, and everyone picked Kansas City. So that leads me to believe that the Baltimore Ravens are going to win this game. And that has nothing to do with my Kansas City hate. I like him back to last year when they played the Detroit Lions and took an L in week 1. Yes, Kelsey wasn't there. He was hurt that game, but I kind of feel like, again, Kansas City doesn't really care about the beginning of the year. They're there to play in January and February, and they just want to make sure they get there. Next game we have Friday night. Why not? Why not just take every night of the week, NFL, you greedy bastards? Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles. No real home field advantage here as they're playing in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Any of these games that are played in London, now in Brazil, I don't feel comfortable picking. I have no idea who's going to win. We have the spread as Eagles favored by 2 points. I don't know. They lose Jason Kelsey. Maybe they're a little, that's their guy. That's the captain. That's the real backbone of this team. Not saying I don't think the Eagles are going to have a good season, but I think off the jump, we're going to go with the Green Bay Packers and the person I picked for MVP, Jordan Love. Sorry, Rob. Nothing against you or your team, even though I truly do hate them. I love you. And yeah, it just is what it is. I'm going Packers in Brazil. Shout out to Dom Toretto. As we get into Sunday, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta Falcons. In Atlanta, Steelers, Fields, Russell Wilson, zero offense out there, right? Even though I truly think Fields can do it, he's not starting. We get Russell Wilson there. Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris, my pick for coach of the year. Atlanta favored by 3.5. I think we get that, even though Pittsburgh's defense is good, as we all know. TJ Watt, a number of other players on that defensive side. I'm gonna go with Atlanta to beat Pittsburgh, and again, favored by 3.5. I think that's a decent spread there, but I'm gonna say they beat them by more because I don't believe in the offense of Pittsburgh. Next up, Arizona Cardinals go into Buffalo to play the Bills. A lot different looking Bills team from a wide receiver perspective. I'm wondering what that Josh Allen, the Dalton Kincaid link looks like now. But again, they lost Diggs, they lost Davis. I don't know how they're going to be offensively. But it's hard to go against Josh Allen at home, especially against the Cardinals. So I think the Cardinals are going to be better than they have been. Kyler Murray's back. You get Harrison. I can't wait to watch Harrison, if I'm going to be honest. Bills favored by 6.5. I think that's too much, but I do think the Bills win at home. Moving on to Tennessee at Chicago. Saw an interesting stat the other day that if the first player in the draft taken as a quarterback, their first game of the NFL season, it was like, the last 13 of them, 12-1. But I don't think that happens here. I think the Bears are going to be too good. Tennessee, Derrick Henry's gone. Tony Pollard running the ball. DeAndre Hopkins getting old. No disrespect. He's better than I am, obviously, at being a receiver in the NFL. But with that said, Chicago Bears, I got them. They're favored by 3.5. I think it'll be a little bit more than that they win by against Tennessee. New England Patriots go into Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Bengals at home favored by 8.5. That's probably a really, really good number, even though we're kind of just waiting to see what the hell happens with Jamar Chase. I still feel like the Bengals are going to be too good. They did lose Joe Mixon, rather. He's over in Houston. So what happens on the running game side? Zach Moss comes in, but I still think the Bengals, man. I think Joe Burrow seems to be healthy, even though he's not like fully practicing all the time, which is kind of weird. But against the Patriots, I just think Patriots are going to be bad. Definitely in the running for worst team in the league. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati. And I think that 8.5 is solid. I think they actually eclipse that and probably win by 10, maybe even 14. Speaking of Joe Mixon and the Texans, they go into Indianapolis. I'm excited for this. We get CJ Stroud. How does Anthony Richardson look now that he's back? He's healthy. Jonathan Stewart as well. Diggs over in Houston to add to that receiving core. I'm excited. I'm very interested to see who comes out on top in this game. I do feel like Houston, I picked them as a dark horse to go to the Super Bowl, so I feel like Houston's going to take it. They're favored on the road by 3. I think this is a very, very close game. 3 kind of scares me. If it's me, I'm not even betting on this game, but I do have Houston winning. So Jacksonville, super disappointing team. They're going into Miami to play the Dolphins. Is this year that Trevor Lawrence really gets it together and this Jacksonville team gets it figured out? I don't think so, and I especially don't think that happens in Miami. Tyreek Hill. Miami. One thing about Miami, they ball out early in the year, and this offense is going to be flying. That 3.5 seems way too low to me to be favored by. I think Miami wins this by more. I'm just really not convinced that Jacksonville is going to be a good team maybe ever. And I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be a great quarterback. We've given him a couple of years, and it just seems like it's just maybe it's not there. I don't know. I know I'm getting yelled at right now by number 1 Jacksonville fans, if there are any out there watching this. Number 2, my boy Chacon, who is a Trevor Lawrence apologist. All right, Carolina Panthers go into New Orleans to play the Saints. This NFC South is going to be god-awful. I talked about that, saying that Atlanta wins at least 6 games just in their own division. Carolina, bad, just bad. Saints favored by 3.5 at home. I don't think the Saints are good either, but I think they get the win, and they probably eclipse that 3.5 as well. Bryce Young, see how he does this year, second year. I just don't feel good about it. And then we thought this last game was bad, right? Carolina, New Orleans. And this next game may be as much of a stinker as that. Minnesota Vikings going to New York to play the Giants. We get Sam Darnold against Danny Dimes. I mean, I don't know if you could pay me to watch this game. The Vikings on the road are favored by 2, and that's with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. The running game is nothing. New York Giants lost Saquon Barkley, their running game. Devin Singletary, like, what are we talking about? I know everyone's hyped on Malik Neighbors. Who's throwing him the ball? Obviously, you have Justin Jefferson on the other side. Who's throwing him the ball? This is going to be an ugly-ass game and one that I will not be watching. I'll check for the final score. With that said, at home, I think I'm just going to go with New York. It doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel good. This is a coin flip for me. And honestly, whoever loses this game might be the last team to win a game this season. Them or the Patriots. Chalk it up. So if you're forced to watch this game, maybe go cut the lawn or, I don't know, do something else. Las Vegas Raiders go into LA to play the Chargers. A lot of love for the Chargers. They lost a lot of guys on offense. It just doesn't seem to really matter right? Obviously, new coach, Justin Herbert, seems to be doing okay. You got Gardner Minshew chucking the ball to Devontae Adams and for Vegas. I don't know, man. For me, it just feels like the Chargers win this game at home, new coach, Raiders. Raiders are so pesky though, and I'm always wrong about them. When I think they're going to lose, they win. When I think they win, they'll lose. So don't listen to me if you're betting on this game. Sorry. It is what it is. Man, speaking of another bad team, Denver Broncos going to Seattle, play the Seahawks. Seahawks at home are favored by 6. Broncos quarterback situation is ugly, right? Bo Nix, maybe. I don't know. I'm going with Seattle to win this. I just feel like they are probably more prepared as they have a lot of vets on that team, a lot of smart players, and I just don't believe in Denver on the road, right? Can't be any worse than it was last year with Russell Wilson, though. So I don't know if that's saying a lot. Next up, Dallas Cowboys going to Cleveland. This is kind of a shocker to me. Deshaun Watson hasn't proven that he can play football anymore since the whole fiasco in Houston. And yet at home, the Browns are favored by 2.5. What does that mean? Dallas, you still have Dak, you have CD, you have Micah Parsons, you have guys that can play. DeMarcus Lawrence is there, right? I just don't feel good taking the Cleveland Browns, even if they're at home. I think Dallas wins this game, even though you do have a solid defense there in Cleveland. I just don't believe in that offense at all. Shout out to my guy, Nick Chubb, who's coming back later this season, though. Until then, you get Jerome Ford, who, in all honesty, looked pretty decent filling in for Chubb last year. Now let's get to America's game of the week. I'm just kidding. It's not. It's my game of the week. Washington Commanders go into Tampa Bay to play the Bucks. 3.5 is what Tampa Bay is favored at home. Jaden Daniels' first NFL game. But what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to get a win? Daniels to McLaurin? Daniels to Zach Ertz? Ugh. Austin Eckler? How does he look? Brian Robinson? The Bucks feel very cohesive. All them guys stayed, right? I'm going with the Commanders. Who cares, right? Who cares? This is just me making picks. Jaden Daniels, a surprise. Shocks Tampa Bay. Vita Vea maybe just doesn't have any impact on this game defensively. I don't feel great about it, but we're going with them, baby. Washington, let's go. Los Angeles Rams at Detroit Lions for our Sunday night game. That's a really fun game in Detroit. Detroit favored by 3.5. What is Cooper Kupp going to look like? How's Puka Nacua doing? Kyron Williams. Rams have a good offense. Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. I mean, they've got some dogs over there too. I'm going with Detroit. That's my Super Bowl pick. Detroit to get that win at home to kick off the season on Sunday Night Football. And now Monday night, and we only got one game. Dear NFL, please don't give us multiple Monday night games. Please. Let's just pack the second half of the day on Sunday and give us one Monday night game every week. And we don't need Friday night games either. Like, leave that to high schools. Let them play Friday Night Lights. What are we talking about? Don't be assholes, NFL. Anyway, Monday night, New York Jets, San Francisco 49ers in San Fran. Niners favored by 4.5. To me, Aaron Rodgers, coming off this injury, he already looked slow before. The San Francisco defense is going to eat. It's going to weigh heavy on the shoulders of Breece Hall to get some running game going. They do have a better offensive line there in New York to try to help Rodgers. But, man, I don't see it. I think the San Francisco team is going to be hungry. Yes, they lost in the Super Bowl. But I think they're going to come after Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know if he can hold up to it. Yes, he's one of the best quarterbacks ever. He's 40, right? It's tough. it's going to be a tough go for Aaron Rodgers, I think, when they play the good teams. I think he can still do well against the bad to mid teams, and maybe when they play those good teams, he just goes off on like an ayahuasca retreat or something. I know that joke's getting old, but like he may very well do that. So I'm going San Francisco. They're favored by 4.5. I think they win by more. I think the offense is going to get cooking. And yeah. So there you have my predictions for the NFL season, condensed, right? Condensed predictions, as well as my predictions for week 1. I plan on having some folks join me for this NFL Talk weekly. We're working on some contracts. We got some guys thinking that they're CeeDee Lamb out here. So the March 15th media lawyers are speaking with their people to try to come to an agreement to have these guys, I won't say their names yet, on the show weekly or bi-weekly. So with that said, thank you for tuning in. Let's enjoy some NFL, huh? College football was really solid last weekend. Let's enjoy some NFL this week. And we will see y'all next week on the Will Wonder Show, episode 2. Peace.